inspiring quotes to help power you through your studying and to ace those tests. So let's dive in. And I'll also say, if for those who are in the live chat, feel free in the live stream as well as watching this video after it's on live, because sometimes the live chat doesn't pop up when you're rewatching the video. All right, so let's start with our first quote from Robert Colliner. I believe is how you pronounce his last name. It's Collier. I don't know why that was a bit of trouble, but he once said, "Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out." And what this means is doing beneficial and quote unquote like good habits that benefit you every day, even if you don't see the full results right then and there, because you're doing it so often, it builds on itself and it'll all be worth it in the end. And like it says, in reference to studying, consistency is key when it comes to studying. Keep putting in the effort and the results will follow. The second quote is from Eleanor Roosevelt. "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." What this says is, said in reference to studying, is to stay focused on your goals and remember that hard work today leads to a brighter tomorrow. Sam Levinson said, "Don't watch the clock, do what counts. Keep going." And I feel like this is a great quote because time flies when you're really focused on something, especially I feel like during exams. So keep pushing forward and you got this, because time will go by whether you choose to study or not. And especially when you're taking your exam, when you're spending too much time on one question, it's better to move on to the next question and maybe circle on the one you were spending a lot of time on and come back to it when you've got, basically when you finish the other questions, just to make sure that those you've answered to your fullest potential, and then you could come back to the one that maybe was more tricky at the time, but once you've read through the exam and you saw the other questions, maybe the answer generated in your mind. Because I noticed for a lot of exams, even still in college, is that some questions work off of each other, and sometimes you'll find the answer to a question in other questions throughout the exam. So it's okay to not know the answer right away, just circle it and come back to it. All right, the fourth quote is from Zig Ziglar. "You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great." And what this means is, don't stress about being perfect. Start where you are, and improvement will come with time. Our fifth quote is, "The difference between who you are and what you want to be is what you do. Your actions now define your future. Stay dedicated and you'll see the change you're working towards." Our sixth quote is from Abraham Lincoln, which says, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." And I feel like that's very well said, because your study habits and effort will shape your future. It will shape how you do on exams, which will result in what classes you could take next, especially in college. And also it means if you fulfill a requirement towards your degree or not. So take charge and create the outcomes you want. Our seventh quote is from Winston Churchill. Success is not Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Through the actions of keep going, even if things are not necessarily perfect, is the key to My apologies. The key is to keep trying until you get there. Our 8th quote says, "Don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done." And basically means even when it's tiring or times are tough, still try to push through and finish your work. Keep your eye on the prize and finish strong. I would think of this as a marathon. You don't just want to stop when you're 20 miles in because you have 6.2 miles to go. You've already completed majority of the task. You might as well finish it and give it your best effort, because even when you're pushing, for example, with the marathon example, instead of walking, you keep maybe jogging instead of sprinting like you have been, you will still finish quicker than if you choose to stop and walk or if you choose to take a break. And I know there's times where breaks are necessary, but if this is talking about if you stop and you just leave it alone and you don't go back to it, all of a sudden you're just like, you know what, I'm not gonna do that. When in reality, you kind of have to achieve what you want to achieve. Our 9th quote is, "The harder you work for something, the greater you'll feel when you achieve it." Exams might be tough, but the satisfaction of a job well done will be so worth it. 10th quote says, "Studying is not memorization, it is about understanding." And this is key because you could memorize a bunch of definitions, but you will only know the definitions of those words if the definition you memorize shows up exactly word for word. Otherwise, if a teacher rewords a definition, you may not actually know a definition towards the word. And that means you just memorized. You didn't necessarily study. That's what we, in psychology, what we call maintenance rehearsal, where you're just saying something over and over and over, but you're not really putting much thought into it. Where elaborated rehearsal is where you explain to yourself exactly what that means. You use your own wording, you word it differently. You could explain it to someone else without reading it off of your study guide. You can make connections to that word to other things. And when you add more connections to something, that helps increase your memory of certain things when you have the ability to connect it to other things, to other information. Our 11th quote is from Beverly Sills. "There are no shortcuts to any place worth going." Exams require effort, but the knowledge you gain is the shortcut to long-term success. Our 12th quote is from John D. Rockefeller. "Don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great." Sometimes you need to step out of your comfort zone and push yourself harder to the next level, to reach the next level. Our 13th quote is from Will Rogers. "The road to success is dotted with many temporary..." Let me re-say that quote. "The road to success is dotted with many tempting parking spaces. It's easy to get distracted, but stay focused on your study goals and keep moving forward." The 14th quote we have is from Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it's done. No matter how overwhelming studying can feel, remember that you're capable of getting through it. Because if you were given a task, like to do an exam, you weren't given it because it was impossible to do, or that your teacher didn't feel that you have the capability to do it. Your teachers, okay. Recently, I took a chemistry exam that was tougher than our first chemistry exam of the semester. And my teacher said that in his mind, he had the hope that we could take on a difficult exam, that we had the knowledge and the capability to do the exam and receive a high score on this exam. He believed in us, and then it was up to the individuals in the class to decide if they believed in themselves or are they just going to put in minimal effort. And the last quote I'll share from you is another one from Zig Ziglar. What you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. The process of studying and preparing for exams builds your character and work ethic, which are just as important as grades themselves. I feel like a lot of people look at exams and the educational in general and just think, oh, it's just about getting scores. This has nothing to do with your future, especially in the American school system. I feel that a decent amount of students, they're just like getting it done to get it done. Where in reality, even if you don't necessarily like the subject, you should take it on as a challenge as, no, you could actually retain this information. You could actually know what you're learning and be able to teach it to someone else and have this knowledge stay with you for as long as you desire. Because the skills you learn and the ways you learn to pick up even difficult material will help you in your life after school. And I feel like that's something that isn't necessarily shared as much as it should be in the United States school system, because that's necessarily why we go to school, in my opinion. We learn different skills and different ways to adapt and discover how even in challenging moments we are capable of doing so much and more than we initially think. With that being said, before you click off this video, if you have any questions or thoughts, take the time to put them in the comments section, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.